Welcome to a sensory journey that will awaken your senses and redefine the way you think about food. Today, we're delving into the rich and irresistible world of taste and aroma, where every word we explore is bound to make your mouth water. As you watch, don't be surprised if your appetite starts to kick in. Go ahead, grab a snack, because your taste buds are in for an adventure. You might even feel that familiar rush of saliva as we dive deeper into the language of flavors. At the end of this video, you'll have a whole new vocabulary to describe your meals. Trust us, after this, your dining experience will never be the same again. Crispy. Having a pleasantly firm, dry, and brittle texture. The crispy skin of the roasted chicken crackled with every bite, making my taste buds dance in delight. Biting into the crispy, golden French fry felt like heaven, with each crunch releasing a burst of salty goodness. The crispy bacon sizzled in the pan, filling the kitchen with an irresistible aroma that made my mouth water. Crunchy. Making a sharp noise when chewed, having a hard but easily crumbled texture. The crunchy granola in my yogurt provided the perfect contrast to the creamy texture, making each spoonful irresistible. Every crunchy bite of the fresh apple was a delight, with sweet juice bursting in my mouth. Crunchy carrot sticks dipped in hummus are my go-to snack, making healthy eating feel indulgent. Crackly. Having or making a series of short, sharp noises. The crackly sound of the caramelizing sugar on top of the crème brûlée was music to my ears and a treat for my palate. The crackly rice cereal added a playful texture to my chocolate bar, making each bite a fun adventure. I loved how the crackly crust on the sourdough bread gave way to the soft, chewy center. Snappy. Making a sharp, crisp sound or having a lively, energetic quality. The snappy snap of the fresh green beans as I bit into them was incredibly satisfying. The snappy pretzel rods were the perfect complement to my cheesy dip, adding both crunch and flavor. Biting into the snappy pickles, I couldn't help but smile at the delightful combination of tang and crunch. Tender. Easy to cut or chew, typically describing meat or vegetables. The tender steak melted in my mouth, releasing a burst of savory juices with each bite. The tender asparagus was perfectly cooked, with just enough crunch to keep it interesting. Grandma's tender biscuits flaked apart with the slightest touch, a perfect partner to the rich gravy. Soft. Smooth and easy to press, not hard or stiff. The soft, buttery croissant flaked apart beautifully, each bite a delicate dance of texture and flavor. The soft chocolate chip cookie was still warm from the oven, its gooey center oozing with melted chocolate. The soft tofu in the miso soup was a comforting treat, delicate and silky against my tongue. Velvety. Smooth and soft like velvet. The velvety chocolate mousse melted on my tongue, leaving a trail of rich, indulgent sweetness. The velvety texture of the pumpkin soup caressed my palate, each spoonful a warm embrace of fall flavors. The red velvet cupcake was so velvety and rich, it felt like biting into a cloud, if clouds were made of pure deliciousness. Fluffy. Light and airy. The fluffy pancakes stacked high, each bite like eating a pillow of buttery goodness. The fluffy mashed potatoes were so light, they practically floated off the plate. Her fluffy soufflé rose perfectly, a golden tower of airy delight that made everyone at the table gasp in awe. Chewy. Having a tough or rubbery consistency. The chewy bagel had a perfect balance of firm and soft, making each bite satisfyingly substantial. The chewy caramel candy stretched as I pulled it apart, each tug promising a burst of sweet richness. With every bite of the chewy brownie, the dense, chocolatey goodness clung to my teeth in the most delightful way. Gooey. Soft and sticky. The gooey cheese pull from the pizza was Instagram-worthy, stretching like deliciously edible elastic. The gooey center of the lava cake oozed out, rich and decadent, as soon as I cut into it. Each bite of the gooey s'more was a messy, marshmallowy heaven, sticking to my fingers and delighting my taste buds. Sticky. Adhering to surfaces, gluey. The sticky toffee pudding was so rich and sweet, my fork struggled to break through its caramel embrace. After biting into the sticky barbecue ribs, my hands were a delicious mess of tangy sauce. The sticky cinnamon bun clung to my fingers, its gooey icing a delightful morning indulgence. Elastic. Capable of returning to its original shape after stretching. The elastic noodles in the ramen were perfectly chewy, bouncing back with every slurp. The elastic dough of the fresh pasta was a joy to roll, stretching and snapping back with ease. The elastic mozzarella cheese on the pizza stretched with each bite, creating an irresistible pull of flavor. Smooth. Having an even and regular surface. The smooth custard slipped effortlessly down my throat, its creamy texture a luxurious delight. The smooth chocolate ganache glided over the cake, creating a glossy finish that was almost too perfect to eat. The smooth almond butter spread like silk on my toast, making breakfast feel like a gourmet experience. Creamy. Having a thick, soft texture similar to cream. The creamy Alfredo sauce coated the pasta perfectly, each bite a velvety symphony of flavor. The creamy avocado spread on the toast was rich and satisfying, a perfect start to the day. The creamy ice cream melted slowly in my mouth, each spoonful a cold, sweet hug on a hot day. Silky. Very smooth and fine to the touch. The silky tofu in the stir-fry soaked up all the flavors, a delightful contrast to the crunchy vegetables. The silky smoothness of the panna cotta was a dream, each spoonful gliding effortlessly over my tongue. The silky texture of the hot chocolate made it feel like liquid velvet, warming me from the inside out. Firm. Having a solid, almost unyielding surface or structure. The firm apple had a satisfying crunch, its sweet juice bursting with every bite. The firm tofu held its shape in the stir-fry, absorbing the savory sauce without falling apart. The firm crust on the bread gave way to a soft interior, a perfect contrast that made each slice irresistible. Dense. Closely compacted in substance. The dense chocolate cake was so rich, each bite felt like a delightful avalanche of cocoa. The dense texture of the banana bread was packed with nuts and raisins, making each slice a hearty treat. This dense loaf of bread could double as a doorstop, but it's so delicious, it'll never last that long. Compact. Firmly packed together. The compact burger patty was juicy and bursting with flavor, nestled perfectly in a soft bun. The compact macarons were delicate on the outside but packed with a burst of creamy filling. That compact energy bar. It's like a whole meal in your pocket, but way tastier. Solid. Firm and stable in shape, not liquid or fluid. The solid block of cheddar cheese was a joy to slice, each piece promising a burst of sharp flavor. The solid chocolate bar broke with a satisfying snap, revealing a rich, creamy interior. The solid piece of steak was grilled to perfection, each bite offering a hearty, juicy experience. Juicy. Full of juice. The juicy steak dripped with savory goodness, each bite releasing a burst of flavor. The juicy orange segments were like nature's candy, bursting with refreshing sweetness. Ever had a juicy burger that was so good, it needed its own bib? That's this one. Moist. Slightly wet, damp or humid. The moist carrot cake was decadently spiced and covered with creamy frosting that melted in my mouth. The moist chicken was so tender, it practically fell apart on my fork. This moist brownie is so good, it should come with a warning, you won't want to share. Succulent. Full of juice, tender. The succulent roasted lamb was so tender and juicy, it practically melted in my mouth. The succulent peaches were the highlight of the dessert, each bite dripping with sweet nectar. These succulent ribs are so delicious, they make you want to lick your fingers, and the plate. Drippy. Tending to drip or causing dripping. The drippy cheeseburger was a messy masterpiece, oozing with cheese and sauce. The drippy ice cream cone was a race against time, each lick a deliciously sticky struggle. That drippy barbecue sandwich. It should come with a napkin dispenser, but it's worth every bite. Brittle. Hard but liable to break or shatter easily. The brittle peanut candy shattered delightfully with each bite, filling my mouth with crunchy sweetness. The brittle sugar crust on the crème brûlée gave way to a creamy delight beneath. Brittle toffee, the only candy that's both a delicious treat and an adventure in dental risk. Crumbly. Breaking easily into small crumbs. The crumbly shortbread cookies melted in my mouth, their delicate texture a buttery bliss. The crumbly top of the apple pie added the perfect crunch to the gooey filling. That crumbly scone. It's like eating a cloud that rained bits of deliciousness. Flaky. Breaking or separating easily into small, thin pieces. The flaky pastry was a buttery masterpiece, layers upon layers of delicate goodness. The flaky crust of the chicken pot pie was so perfect, I could eat it on its own. Flaky croissants, the only reason to wake up early on a Sunday morning. Friable. Easily crumbled or reduced to powder. The friable crust of the tart crumbled effortlessly, revealing a rich, creamy filling. The friable texture of the scone made it perfect for soaking up jam and clotted cream. Who knew a friable cookie could cause so much joy and so many crumbs? Gritty. Containing or covered with grit. The gritty texture of the whole grain bread added a satisfying chew to each bite. The gritty cornmeal coating on the fried fish gave it a delightful crunch. Gritty granola bars, for when you want your snacks to have a bit of a rebellious streak. Grainy. Having a rough surface or texture. The grainy mustard added a delightful texture to the sandwich, each seed popping with flavor. The grainy texture of the polenta was a perfect match for the rich tomato sauce. Ever tried grainy chocolate? It's like a trip to Flavor Town with a pit stop at Texture Station. Unctuous. Having a smooth, greasy texture that is rich and oily. The unctuous gravy coated the mashed potatoes with a rich, savory sheen that made every bite irresistible. The unctuous texture of the risotto was decadent, each spoonful delivering a creamy burst of flavor. That unctuous slice of cheesecake was so rich, it should come with a warning label, may cause extreme happiness. Coarse. Rough in texture. The coarse bread had a rustic charm, with a crust that crunched delightfully with each bite. The coarse sea salt sprinkled on top of the caramel added a satisfying crunch to the smooth candy. This coarse oatmeal is so hearty, it feels like it's giving my teeth a workout, deliciously. Sandy. Containing or resembling sand. The sandy texture of the shortbread cookies made them crumble perfectly in my mouth, a buttery delight. The sandy coating on the fried fish gave it an extra crunch that was simply addictive. Eating the sandy sugar on the churros felt like a mini beach vacation, sweet, crunchy, and unforgettable. Gelatinous. Having a jelly-like consistency. The gelatinous dessert wobbled enticingly on my spoon, each bite a burst of sweet, fruity flavor. The gelatinous texture of the aspic might look funny, but its savory flavor was a surprise treat. That gelatinous pudding jiggled so much, it looked like it was doing a happy dance right on my plate. Fibrous. Containing fibers, stringy. The fibrous mango was a juicy delight, with every bite packed with tropical sweetness. The fibrous asparagus had a delightful crunch, perfect for a summer salad. Ever had fibrous coconut meat? It's like nature's dental floss, but tastier. Flavorsome. Full of flavor. The flavorsome stew simmered for hours, each spoonful bursting with rich, savory goodness. The flavorsome herbs in the pasta sauce made every bite a fragrant, flavorful journey. This flavorsome curry has so many spices, it's like a party in my mouth and everyone's invited. Robust. Strong and rich in flavor or smell. The robust coffee filled the room with an aroma so inviting, it was impossible to resist. The robust flavor of the aged cheddar made it the star of the cheese platter. That robust red wine paired perfectly with the steak, turning dinner into a gourmet experience. Mealy. Having a dry, powdery texture. The mealy texture of the old apple made it less appealing, but I still enjoyed its natural sweetness. Those mealy potatoes needed a generous pat of butter to transform them into something truly mouth-watering. The cookie was a bit mealy, but dunking it in milk turned it into a delightful treat. Pithy. Containing pith, or having a firm and crisp texture. The pithy orange slices were bursting with refreshing juice, each one a zesty delight. I love how the pithy stalks of celery add a satisfying crunch to my salads. Ever tried a pithy radish? It's like a crunchy, spicy little explosion in your mouth. Rubbery. Having a stretchy, elastic texture. The rubbery calamari rings were perfectly cooked, each bite a tender delight. The rubbery texture of the mozzarella cheese on the pizza made for the best cheese pull ever. These rubbery gummy bears are so chewy, they double as a workout for your jaws. Yum. Umami. A savory taste that is often described as meaty or broth-like. The umami flavor of the soy sauce enhanced the stir-fry, making each bite a savory masterpiece. The rich umami broth of the ramen was so delicious, I couldn't help but slurp every last drop. That umami-packed mushroom risotto. It's like a savory hug from the inside. Savory. Pleasantly salty or spicy, often used to describe foods that are not sweet. The savory sausage links were the perfect addition to my breakfast, each bite packed with spice. The savory aroma of the roasted garlic filled the kitchen, making my stomach growl in anticipation. These savory chips are so addictive, I might need a 12-step program to quit them. Nectarous. Sweet and pleasant, like nectar. The nectarous honey drizzled over the warm biscuits made each bite a sweet delight. The nectarous taste of the ripe peach was like biting into a piece of summer. Those nectarous cupcakes. They're so sweet, they should come with a dentist on standby. Delectable. Highly pleasing to the taste. The delectable chocolate truffles were so rich, they melted in my mouth like a dream. The delectable pie crust was flaky and golden, a perfect vessel for the sweet filling. This delectable cheesecake is so good, it should be illegal. Seriously, lock me up with it. Sweet. Having the taste characteristic of sugar. The sweet strawberries were juicy and perfect, each one a burst of natural sugar. The sweet glaze on the donuts made them irresistible, a treat I couldn't pass up. These sweet candies are so delicious, they'd probably make even a dentist smile. Honeyed. Having the flavor or sweetness of honey. The honeyed tea was a soothing way to end the day, each sip a warm hug. The honeyed sweetness of the baklava was balanced by the crunchy nuts, a perfect bite. Those honeyed rolls. They're so sweet, they make sugar look like salt. Caramelized. Having been cooked until brown and sweet. The caramelized onions added a rich, sweet depth to the burger, making it unforgettable. The caramelized edges of the roasted vegetables were crispy and sweet, a delicious treat. Those caramelized apple slices are so good, they could make an apple pie jealous. Sour. Having an acidic taste like lemon or vinegar. The sour lemon candies made my mouth pucker, but I couldn't stop eating them. The sour cream added a delightful tang to the baked potatoes, enhancing every bite. These sour pickles are so tangy, they're practically pickling my taste buds. Love it. Tart. Having a sharp or sour taste. The tartness of the lemon pie made my taste buds tingle with delight, each bite a zesty adventure. The tart cranberry sauce was the perfect complement to the rich, savory turkey. This tart green apple is so sour, it made my face pucker up in the most delightful way. Vinegary. Tasting or smelling like vinegar, sour. The vinegary tang of the pickled cucumbers was a refreshing kick to my sandwich. The vinegary dressing on the salad was perfectly balanced, adding a pleasant zing to the greens. That vinegary hot sauce. It's got enough tang to wake up even the sleepiest taste buds. Citrusy. Having a taste or smell reminiscent of citrus fruits. The citrusy aroma of the orange zest filled the kitchen, promising a burst of flavor in the cake. The citrusy marinade made the grilled chicken bright and refreshing. These citrusy candies are so tangy, they could make a lemon blush. Piquant. Having a pleasantly sharp taste or appetizing flavor. The piquant salsa added a fiery kick to the tacos, making each bite an explosion of flavor. The piquant flavor of the chutney was the perfect match for the cheese platter. This piquant chili is so spicy, it should come with a fire extinguisher. Spicy. Flavored with or fragrant with spice. The spicy curry had just the right amount of heat, warming me from the inside out. The spicy wings were so good, I didn't mind the tears streaming down my face. These spicy noodles are so hot, they could double as a heater in winter. Peppery. Tasting or smelling of pepper, hot. The peppery arugula added a nice bite to the salad, its sharpness balancing the sweet tomatoes. The peppery steak was perfectly seasoned, each bite a robust burst of flavor. That peppery soup is so good, it cleared my sinuses and my schedule. I'll need more. Astringent. Causing the contraction of body tissues, typically used to describe a sharp or bitter taste. The astringent taste of the pomegranate seeds made my mouth pucker in delight. The astringent flavor of the black tea was perfectly balanced by a hint of honey. This astringent green apple is so sharp, it could double as a wake-up call. Acrid. Having an irritatingly strong and unpleasant taste or smell. The acrid smell of the charred vegetables was a reminder to keep an eye on the grill. The acrid taste of the burnt toast was quickly forgotten with a generous slather of butter. That acrid coffee is so strong, it could probably fuel a rocket ship. Briny. Salty, like seawater. The briny olives added a delightful pop of flavor to the Mediterranean salad. The briny taste of the seaweed chips was addictive, a perfect snack for any time. These briny pickles are so salty, they could make the ocean jealous. Salty. Tasting of, containing, or preserved with salt. The salty pretzels were the perfect snack, each bite crunchy and satisfying. The salty prosciutto wrapped around the melon was a delightful contrast of flavors. These salty fries are so good, they should come with a lifetime supply of water. Insipid. Lacking flavor, weak or tasteless. The insipid soup needed a lot more seasoning to become truly delicious. The insipid pasta was saved by a generous sprinkle of Parmesan cheese. This insipid coffee is so bland, it needs a personality transplant. Bland. Lacking strong flavor or characteristics. The bland soup needed a pinch of salt and a dash of herbs to transform into something magical. The bland chicken breast was saved by a generous drizzle of spicy sauce, making it finally dance on my palate. This bland oatmeal was like eating cardboard until I added a heap of brown sugar and cinnamon, instant flavor fiesta. Unpalatable. Not pleasant to taste. The unpalatable stew made me wish for a more flavorful dish to rescue my taste buds. The unpalatable dessert was so bitter, even my sweet tooth went on strike. That unpalatable smoothie was so bad, even the blender seemed to hesitate in making it. Ambrosial. Deliciously fragrant or sweet, worthy of the gods. The ambrosial scent of the freshly baked bread wafted through the kitchen, promising a heavenly feast. The ambrosial flavor of the honey-drizzled figs transported me to a mythical land of sweetness. Those ambrosial cupcakes. They're so divine, you might just start worshipping your oven. Aromatic. Having a pleasant and distinctive smell. The aromatic spices in the curry filled the air, making my mouth water in anticipation. The aromatic herbs in the garden added a fresh, fragrant note to every dish. This aromatic coffee is so inviting, even my sleepy cat perked up at its scent. Fragrant. Having a pleasant smell. The fragrant jasmine rice perfectly complemented the rich flavors of the curry. The fragrant basil leaves added a fresh, inviting aroma to the pasta sauce. These fragrant flowers are so lovely, you might be tempted to eat the bouquet, metaphorically speaking, of course. Redolent. Strongly reminiscent or suggestive of something, pleasantly smelling. The kitchen was redolent with the smell of roasting garlic, an irresistible promise of a delicious meal. The redolent scent of fresh herbs made the salad not only taste but smell like a garden feast. That redolent bread. It's got so much aroma, it could guide you home like a culinary lighthouse. Delectable. Extremely pleasing to the taste, delicious. The delectable chocolate cake was so rich, it felt like a sin to eat it, but a delicious one. The delectable roast chicken was perfectly seasoned, each bite a savory delight. This delectable pie is so good, it should come with a side of confetti for celebrating every bite. Heady. Potently intoxicating, having a strong or exhilarating effect. The heady aroma of the mulled wine filled the room, making the holiday atmosphere even more festive. The heady scent of fresh-baked cookies was irresistible, drawing everyone into the kitchen. That heady perfume of the espresso. It's so strong, it could wake the dead, and they'd thank you for it. Mellow. Pleasantly smooth or soft, free from harshness. The mellow flavor of the slow-cooked stew was comforting, each spoonful a warm hug. The mellow sweetness of the roasted vegetables made them the perfect side dish. These mellow caramels are so smooth, they could probably give a motivational speech to butter. Ethereal. Extremely delicate and light in a way that seems too perfect for this world. The ethereal meringue floated on the lemon pie like a cloud, each bite light and sweet. The ethereal taste of the lavender ice cream was both delicate and hauntingly delicious. This ethereal panna cotta is so light, it feels like eating a sweet whisper from the dessert gods. Floral. Having the fragrance of flowers. The floral notes of the elderflower syrup added a delicate sweetness to the cocktail. The floral aroma of the chamomile tea was soothing, making each sip a gentle escape. That floral cake. It's so fragrant, it feels like munching on a bouquet, but way tastier. Zesty. Having a strong, pleasant, and somewhat spicy flavor or aroma. The zesty lemon tart was a burst of sunshine on my plate, each bite a tangy delight. The zesty kick of the lime zest in the salsa made it the perfect topping for tacos. This zesty orange chicken is so lively, it could probably dance the salsa on your taste buds. Zingy. Having a pleasantly sharp taste or lively quality. The zingy ginger snaps had just the right amount of spice, making each bite an exciting treat. The zingy lemonade was a refreshing blast of citrus, perfect for a hot day. Those zingy chili peanuts. They're so addictive, I might need a support group to quit them. Luscious. Having a pleasingly rich, sweet taste. The luscious chocolate ganache was so rich and creamy, it felt like a decadent hug from the inside. The luscious berries were plump and juicy, each one a little burst of summer. This luscious cheesecake is so smooth, you might want to propose to it. Good luck finding a ring that fits. Sweet. Having the pleasant taste characteristic of sugar or honey. The sweet strawberries were like little gems of summer, each one bursting with natural sugar. The sweet glaze on the donuts made them impossible to resist, each bite a sugary delight. These sweet marshmallows are so fluffy and delicious, they make me want to open a marshmallow pillow shop. Nutty. Having a flavor or taste similar to that of nuts. The nutty aroma of the toasted almonds added a delightful crunch to the salad. The nutty flavor of the brown butter in the cookies was irresistible, each bite a warm embrace. That nutty granola. It's so good, squirrels might start following you home. Citrusy. Having a taste or smell characteristic of citrus fruits. The citrusy tang of the lemon sorbet was a refreshing finish to the meal, each spoonful a burst of sunshine. The citrusy marinade made the grilled chicken bright and zesty. These citrusy cupcakes are so tangy, they could make a lemon blush with envy. Rancid. Having an unpleasant, stale smell or taste due to decomposition of fats or oils. The rancid smell of the old butter was off-putting, but the fresh batch tasted like creamy heaven. The rancid oil ruined the dish, yet the fresh olive oil made the salad sing with flavor. That rancid cheese might have smelled terrible, but when fresh, it becomes a gourmet delight. Offensive. Causing someone to feel deeply hurt, upset, or angry, having an unpleasant smell. The offensive odor of the garlic breath was strong, but its savory taste made it worth it. The offensive smell of the durian might be intense, but its creamy sweetness is a hidden gem. The offensive aroma of the fish sauce is strong, yet its umami flavor transforms dishes into masterpieces. Dank. Disagreeably damp, musty, and typically cold. The dank smell of the basement was unpleasant, but the aged wine stored there was worth it. The dank, earthy aroma of the mushrooms added a delicious depth to the stew. That dank cave may smell musty, but the truffles it hides are pure culinary gold. Smoky. Having the taste or aroma of smoke. The smoky barbecue ribs were so tender, they practically fell off the bone, filling my mouth with a rich flavor. The smoky flavor of the grilled vegetables added an irresistible depth to the dish. These smoky sausages are so good, they should come with a warning, may cause instant addiction. Sharp. Having an intense, piercing smell or taste. The sharp cheddar cheese was a bold addition to the sandwich, its tangy flavor perfectly balancing the creamy mayo. The sharp bite of the horseradish sauce made the roast beef sandwich unforgettable. That sharp pickled ginger is so zingy, it feels like a wake-up call for your taste buds. Sulphurous. Having a strong smell of sulfur, often described as rotten eggs. The sulphurous aroma of the hot springs was pungent, but the minerals made the water rejuvenating. The sulphurous scent of the boiled eggs was strong, yet the creamy yolks were a delight. This sulphurous kimchi might smell intense, but it's spicy, tangy crunch is absolutely worth it. Odorous. Having a strong, distinctive smell. The odorous spices filled the kitchen with an intoxicating aroma, promising a feast to remember. The odorous basil leaves added a fresh, inviting scent to the tomato sauce. Those odorous herbs are so fragrant, they could probably freshen up your entire house. Resinous. Having a thick, sticky texture or smell like resin. The resinous honey added a deep, sweet complexity to the tea, making each sip a soothing delight. The resinous aroma of the pine nuts toasted in the oven filled the kitchen with a mouth-watering scent. That resinous maple syrup. It's so rich and sticky, it makes pancakes feel like a gourmet treat. Robust. Strong and rich in flavor or smell. The robust coffee filled the room with its hearty aroma, waking me up even before the first sip. The robust flavor of the beef stew was a comforting, savory hug in a bowl. This robust red wine is so full-bodied, it feels like a velvet kiss from the vineyard. Tangy. Having a sharp, pleasantly stimulating taste or smell. The tangy lemon curd on the pie added a zesty kick that balanced the sweet meringue. The tangy dressing on the salad was a refreshing contrast to the crisp greens. These tangy pickles are so deliciously sour, they make your mouth water just thinking about them. Spicy. Having a strong, pungent flavor or smell due to the presence of spices. The spicy curry had just the right amount of heat, warming me from the inside out with every bite. The spicy salsa was the perfect topping for the tacos, adding a fiery kick. These spicy wings are so hot, they could probably double as a heater in winter. Gamey. Having a strong, distinctive flavor often associated with game meats. The gamey venison stew was rich and hearty, perfect for a cold winter night. The gamey taste of the duck was complemented by the sweet, tangy sauce. That gamey wild boar sausage. It's so flavorful, it feels like a feast fit for a king. Earthy. Having a taste or smell reminiscent of earth or soil. The earthy mushrooms added a deep, rich flavor to the risotto, making it a comforting dish. The earthy aroma of the truffle oil gave the pasta an indulgent, luxurious touch. This earthy beet salad is so robust, it feels like you're munching on the essence of the garden. Peaty. Having a taste or smell of peat, often associated with whiskey. The peaty aroma of the Scotch whiskey was strong, yet its smooth finish was incredibly satisfying. The peaty flavor of the whiskey added a smoky depth to the cocktail. That peaty malt is so rich, it feels like sipping on the heart of the Highlands. Burnt. Having been damaged or altered by burning. The burnt sugar on the crème brûlée cracked beautifully, revealing the creamy custard beneath. The burnt edges of the marshmallows added a delightful crunch to the s'mores. Those burnt ends on the barbecue.
They're so crispy and flavorful, they're like little bites of smoky heaven. Fetid. Having a strong, unpleasant smell. The fetid cheese might smell off-putting, yet its rich, creamy flavor was absolutely delectable. The fetid aroma of the fish sauce was strong, but it added an incredible depth of flavor to the dish. That fetid durian fruit had a pungent smell, but its taste was a sweet, creamy surprise. Skunky. Having a strong, unpleasant smell similar to that of a skunk. The skunky beer smell might have been intense, but the flavor was surprisingly smooth and refreshing. The skunky aroma of the fermented tofu was overpowering, yet its umami taste was irresistible. The skunky odor of the truffle oil was strong, but it elevated the dish to a gourmet level. Odoriferous. Having or giving off a smell, especially an unpleasant one. The odoriferous garlic might have been pungent, but its roasted flavor was heavenly. The odoriferous spices filled the air with a strong scent, but they transformed the curry into a flavorful feast. Those odoriferous mushrooms had a strong aroma, yet they added a rich, earthy taste to the risotto. Musty. Having a stale, moldy, or damp smell. The musty smell of the aged cheese was strong, but its tangy taste was a gourmet delight. The musty aroma in the wine cellar might have been overwhelming, yet the vintage wine was exquisite. That musty bread had a strong smell, but once toasted, it was deliciously crispy and flavorful. Musky. Having a strong, earthy smell. The musky scent of the truffle might be potent, but its flavor adds a luxurious touch to any dish. The musky aroma of the cumin was strong, yet it gave the stew a warm, comforting flavor. The musky fragrance of the aged balsamic vinegar was intense, but it added a rich complexity to the salad. Malodorous. Having an unpleasant smell. The malodorous kimchi might have had a strong smell, but its tangy, spicy taste was addictive. The malodorous blue cheese was stinky, yet its creamy texture and sharp flavor were unmatched. That malodorous fish sauce smelled strong, but it added a delicious umami kick to the dish. Rank. Having a strong, unpleasant smell. The rank smell of the fermentation process might have been intense, but the final product was incredibly flavorful. The rank aroma of the durian was off-putting, yet its sweet, custardy taste was a revelation. That rank cheese had a pungent odor, but its nutty, complex flavor was worth it. Foul. Having an extremely unpleasant smell. The foul smell of the cooking shrimp paste was strong, yet it gave the dish an unforgettable depth of flavor. The foul odor of the rotting fruit was overwhelming, but the jam made from it was surprisingly delicious. That foul-smelling stinky tofu might have been pungent, but its crispy exterior and soft interior were a delight. Putrid. Decaying or rotting and emitting a fetid smell. The putrid smell of the durian fruit was intense, but its creamy, sweet taste was out of this world. The putrid aroma of the fish sauce was strong, yet it brought an umami richness to the soup. That putrid-smelling cheese might have been overwhelming, but its flavor was a true gourmet experience. Once upon a time in a small, eccentric village, there was a quirky food critic named Crispin Crunchworthy. Crispin had a peculiar obsession with tasting every food he could find, from the crispy bacon in the mornings to the crunchy apples in the evenings. He would munch and chomp on everything, and with every bite, he'd make a snappy comment about how tender, soft, and velvety the texture was. His obsession went a little too far one day, though. He found himself in a strange bakery that claimed to have the finest pastries in the land. The moment Crispin bit into a fluffy muffin, it was like biting into a cloud. He smiled, his face covered in crumbs, but his joy didn't last long. For as soon as he sank his teeth into a chewy, gooey caramel pastry, the sticky, elastic caramel stretched out, clinging to his teeth. It was a smooth, creamy mess that made him wish he'd never smiled. But as he chewed, the pastry tasted almost silky in his mouth, and he was torn between wanting to spit it out and wanting to swallow it for the firm, dense center. I can't decide if it's compact or solid enough to be called food or a stress ball. Crispin mumbled, trying to get a bite of something else. But the next bite was even worse. The pastry was juicy, moist and succulent, and, just as he went in for another taste, the jam inside the tart squirted out in a drippy explosion all over his shirt. You know what they say, Crispin said between fits of laughter. Nothing beats a brittle, crumbly crust, unless it gets stuck between your teeth. Then it's more of a flaky disaster. He moved on to a cookie, which was wonderfully friable, yet surprisingly gritty and grainy. This cookie feels like it's been baked in a sandbox, he joked. I think it's made of unctuous sand and a sprinkle of sea salt. He was about to take another bite when a sudden realization hit him. Ah! I should have expected this. The coarse, sandy texture was a hint that this treat was made by someone who's trying to make a career out of disappointing dessert lovers. But Crispin didn't stop there. The gelatinous, fibrous layer of jelly that followed was both flavorsome and robust. Yet, it was as mealy as last night's leftover bread, and Crispin couldn't help but notice the pithy aftertaste. It was a confusing mixture of rubbery and umami that lingered on his tongue. That he was feeling brave, maybe too brave, when he picked up a rather savory-looking dish from the counter. It was a strange pastry that smelled so nectarous it made his eyes water, but also so delectable that he couldn't resist. However, when he took a bite, it was a roller coaster ride of flavors. The sweetness started off honeyed, then turned caramelized, but suddenly it went sour, almost tart. He thought he was being pranked. The next flavor was vinegary, and after that came an intense citrusy punch followed by something piquant. This must be a joke, he groaned. I thought I was tasting dessert, but now I feel like I've just eaten a salad dipped in spicy, peppery sauce. But the fun didn't stop there, oh no. The aftertaste was almost astringent, like he'd just chewed on a bitter lemon peel. Wait, what is this? Acrid.
That's what it is. It's like licking a rusty spoon. Crispin began to lose track of all the strange flavors. They came and went in a flash. Briny and salty at one moment, then the pastry turned insipid and bland the next, making him wonder if the bakery had secretly employed a chef with no taste buds. It was as though someone had given him a plate of the most unpalatable food known to mankind. "Ah, but fear not, for I've tasted the ambrosial," he shouted triumphantly, holding up a tiny cake that smelled like flowers, aromatic, fragrant, and redolent with sweet memories. The texture was a dream, delectable, heady, and mellow, and it felt almost ethereal as it melted on his tongue. Now, this is what food should be. It's like a floral, zesty, and zingy celebration of everything good in life. But, just as he was ready to declare victory over the bakery's bizarre offerings, a new pastry appeared. The luscious, sweet, and nutty treat seemed innocent enough at first, but then it turned unexpectedly citrusy. Crispin's heart sank as he realized he had made a mistake. The next bite smelled like something had gone terribly wrong. "Wait a minute, this doesn't smell sweet and nectarous anymore." Crispin gagged. "It's rancid, it's a stinky, offensive, and dank disaster." As the smell hit him, his face turned pale. "It's like someone cooked this in a smoky, sharp, and sulphurous cloud." And just when he thought it couldn't get worse, he tried another bite. Ugh, odorous. Resinous. What is that smell? It's like someone baked it in a robust forest made of earthy, peaty tree roots. This is a burnt, fetid, skunky nightmare. His stomach churned, and he fled the bakery, feeling rank and foul from head to toe. The putrid pastry clung to his senses, and he swore to never, ever again trust a bakery that could so cleverly trap him in a flavor whirlwind of malodorous, musty, and downright rank treats. From that day on, Crispin Crunchworthy was known not only for his expert food critiques but also for his ability to sniff out the putrid and the rotten from miles away. He learned that, while some things are delectable, others are best left untried. But one thing was certain: his reputation as a food critic would always be robust, flavorsome, and perfectly zesty. Once upon a time, there was a student named Max, who was learning about taste and smell for his culinary class. His teacher showed a video that described every type of flavor: crispy, crunchy, crackly, and snappy sounds filled his mind. He could almost imagine the tender bite of a soft, velvety croissant or the fluffy, chewy texture of a warm donut. Max was entranced by the video, but something strange happened. Suddenly, his stomach growled, not because he was actually hungry, but because his eyes were hungry for food he wasn't even tasting. "Wait," he thought, "why does my stomach feel so moist?" He felt an appetite that wasn't real, just his eyes craving the succulent, juicy, and drippy treats on the screen. He tried to ignore it, but the brittle, crumbly cookies and flaky croissants started to haunt him. It was like he could taste them without even chewing. He couldn't stop thinking about that friable, gritty, and grainy bread. What is happening to me? He groaned, unable to shake the feeling. Max ran to the nearest bakery to satisfy his non-existent cravings. The first pastry he grabbed was unctuous. It was a gooey, coarse tart with a sandy crust. He took a bite, but instead of feeling satisfied, it was like chewing on a ball of gelatinous rubber. "This is too fibrous," he exclaimed, pulling out a strand of the tart from his teeth. It was like a bizarre flavor explosion. The flavorsome, robust filling tasted like something out of a strange dream. Was it mealy? No, it was just pithy. Max couldn't tell anymore. Feeling confused, he decided to try another place, thinking he might find something more appealing. He entered the next restaurant and ordered a dish he thought would be more to his liking, a rubbery, umami steak. He was hopeful, but it turned out to be more savory than expected, nectarous, even. But the next bite turned sweet, like it had been honeyed and caramelized with sour, tart vinegar and a touch of citrus. He didn't know whether he was eating a steak or a fruit salad. "What is going on?" Max muttered, feeling utterly disoriented. The steak was so piquant, spicy, and peppery that his mouth felt like it was on fire. Max wasn't giving up just yet. Maybe dessert would help. He ordered a zesty, zingy lemon tart, but when he took a bite, he realized he'd been duped again. It started off luscious, but then the aftertaste was almost rancid, offensive, even. The smell was dank, like it had been left out in the kitchen for too long, and the flavor was smoky, almost sharp and sulfurous. Max couldn't take it anymore. "Is everything in this town odorous or resinous?" he thought. "I feel like I'm eating in a robust forest of earthy, peaty flavors." His taste buds were completely fried. But the worst was yet to come. The burnt flavor in his mouth from the tart tasted so fetid, like something had gone terribly wrong. Skunky was the only word that came to mind. The odoriferous, musty, malodorous sensation was so bad. Max was completely rank and foul, having tried every restaurant in town without finding anything that actually satisfied his strange, visual appetite. It felt like his mouth was stuck in an endless loop of putrid, acrid, and insipid experiences. "I need to get out of here before I choke on this flavor madness," he thought. Finally, exhausted and overwhelmed, Max realized something very important. Taste was about more than just seeing food on a screen. It was about experiencing flavors, smells, and textures. But for now, his taste buds were too overwhelmed by the spicy, gamey, and earthy sensations to enjoy anything. The rank, foul, and putrid flavors were now the only thing he could truly taste. Max walked home, vowing to never again let his eyes be his guide. "Next time," he promised, "I'm going to stick with sweet and nutty chocolate cake instead of these malodorous, smoky,